What's happening, Magnus? It's time for another Car Chronicles. All right, so now this one is going to be about heels that I loved. Okay, now in the last one, I actually forgot Edge, because I really fucking hated Edge coming up. Whenever he was a heel, I mean, something about him and those bug eyes and the pulling of the hair and just the way he says stuff. I mean, I hated him almost as much as Shawn Michaels, and that's pretty, you know, because Shawn Michaels is just a step behind like John Cena, you know. So anyway, I said let's do one about heels that I loved, and you know, I wasn't as specific in my last one because, and I'll explain to you what I mean by specific. I noticed some of you started saying, well, I know you hated The Rock, but what'd you think about corporate Rock? Or I was like, you know what? It's funny because the heel personalities can change sometimes. So let me talk about the heel personalities that I liked. Okay, so first, let's start out with Ric Flair. Ric Flair, I discovered late in my wrestling fandom history, okay? I discovered him during the NWO era because, see, I was always a WWE kid, so I never watched WCW. I always thought it was stupid. You know, those are the guys with the regular names, you know, like guys that grew up with me know exactly what I mean when you say that, you know. So I hated Flair, and I know, and they weren't as you know, flashy and showy as the WWE. So something about them was just low budget, cheap to me. I just didn't like them, so I never watched them. I knew of Ric Flair because I saw a couple of them, you know, things. And then when he came to WWE, I was a WWE kid, so I hated him. He was a bad guy. But then when the NWO came around and I started watching it, one of my boys was like, yo, you got to pay attention to Flair. Flair is hilarious. Because I hated him then, and the more I paid attention to him, I was like, yo, this dude is fucking hilarious. And I'll never forget one of my favorite parts, you know, was when you know, he just snapped and he took all his clothes off and he handcuffed himself to the ropes, and, you know, got power bombed by, there's a power bomb he took by Kevin Nash, or after he hit the mat, he sat back up again and fell. But yo, that is my favorite Flair power bomb. I think that's the only power bomb I've ever seen him take. But anyway, so Flair, just the way he talked, the energy, just, I mean, he off the cuff, he's incredible on the mic. I absolutely love Flair. The falling, every time he got dizzy and fell, you know, everything, just the way he talked, the way he walked, everything I just loved about Flair. The ego, everything I loved about heel Flair, okay? And one thing I like about him is that, one thing about heels, period, is that once they allow you to go heel, when you turn face again, you're able to keep a lot of those qualities that made you good as a heel, which is what I like. I like that about going from heel to face, because you're really vanilla a lot of times when you're face. But then when you heel, you get to do a lot of things that aren't so vanilla. There's shades of gray, anti-hero, all those type of things. It's like, it's more real to me. He's different. You know, everything's just not, he was wrong for what he did, but that was still fun to watch, you know? So, Flair. Next would be Triple H. Absolutely loved Triple H heel after the leg injury, after the quad tear. When he went back heel, just, first of all, just how big he had fucking gotten was cool to me. It's a fucking animal, a beast, a savage, a true Viking king, you know, like he's just fucking, man. I remember when I was watching him, and he wasn't a heel then, I don't think. But remember when Hogan won the belt off of him after that, and, you know, him and Hogan went to lock up, and he pushed Hogan twice, and then Hogan finally got him, and I was like, wow, I was like, this man is such a fucking beast. And that was half of it. But then, you know, just the way he was as a heel after that, you know, it was something different. It was degeneration, but with an edge. The only heel that turn I didn't like after that was when he was with Evolution, and he was all fat and wearing that leotard and leotards, and I don't know, something found him in the handlebar. It was just really stupid to me. I really hated him then, and I was glad when Batista beat him. But always loved Triple H's wisecracking, how he talked shit, how hyped he got. Loved him in the ring. You know, his entrances are always one of my favorite, probably in my top 5 of all time. I love his entrance. I don't know how you can make spitting water look cool, but he did. So then let's talk about corporate rock. Corporate rock and Hollywood rock. Corporate rock might edge out Hollywood rock as my favorite rock heel, because he had already gotten popular, and then they turned him heel, most likely because he was starting to overtake Austin's popularity. But it was the same. It was like it almost didn't matter. It was like you were like, oh man, he went corporate, but then you were like, you know, he's talking shit to King, you know, put his brain in a parakeet and flies backwards, and just, you know, Paul White, you know what I mean? We like to remember when Vince was in the ring with him. You know, we like to play around, play games here, crack jokes to Rock's ass. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm talking about. Like, just the way he was just the wisecracking, the talking shit, the promos. I mean, he would come out and ask for the mic. You know, I mean, he's, you know. But then when he went Hollywood, he was really pompous, and I was agitated a little bit by him at first. Like, I really didn't like when he spit in Hogan's face. Like, that really pissed me off. I thought it was nasty. I was just like, wow, he's fucking spitting his fucking face. Just a smug look he had on his face when he spit on him. I was just like, wow. But all these matches he would have and the interactions, like the one that he had with Rick the Hurricane. And you know, like when Rock was asking, you know, Haku Mashinte, you know what that means? He's like, yeah, I think it means the Rock has a small ding-a-ling. What's up with that? He was like, no, that's not what it means. Like, you know, and you know, when he had the match with Jeff Hardy, I was pissing my pants, because you know how Jeff Hardy would come out dancing. Well, The Rock he started doing these dance moves in the middle of fucking with, fucking up Jeff Hardy. And like all these matches he had, now, you know how they talk about how Cena was, Cena elevated, you know, these guys. No, he did. He buried him. I don't think The Rock really buried these guys. I think these were funny matches. You know, they were rubbed from The Rock. I mean, it was The Rock. You know, The Rock was the shit. You know, he's hilarious. I mean, to the point, he was such a good entertainer that, you know, there was a point where, you know, I mean, he gets in this match with Goldberg and people are cheering him. I mean, it was just, you know, and part of that was their timing of bringing in Goldberg when they did, and, you know, his steam had been gone for a year. I mean, it was just, you know, I thought it was a bunch of bullshit how they brought him in and when they brought him in, you know. So, I knew Goldberg was going to win, but I was like, man, Rock is really hilarious. He's entertaining me more. And by the way, the word entertaining, I noticed The Rock started using, and now everybody uses it in their, you know, their wrestling shows. You know, I thought it was entertaining. Well, it was entertaining. It was entertaining. I thought it was more entertaining. I'm like, everybody uses that now. The Rock started using that. You know what I mean? He started using it in his promos around the Hollywood Rock time, I think. And where they entertain with you know, Rock's fans entertained. You know, he started using it in his regular just interviews. And I was like, everybody's using entertaining now because The Rock says entertain. But anyway, absolutely loved him as Hollywood Rock. My God, he is fucking hilarious. Other heels that I like that I just drew. Stone Cold Steve Austin in the fucking Alliance. The whole what movement. The whole, man, different promos that he cut. and segments and skits that he did with Kurt Angle, which, by the way, I loved as a heel then. The first Kurt Angle, he irritated me. You know, the four eyes, intensity, integrity, intelligence, you know, all that shit. My gold medal, I fucking hated him too. But I didn't hate him as much as like Edge and the rest of them. That's why he wasn't on the list. So I recognized him. He was one of the guys that, even though he was a heel, I recognized how much skill he really had. So, but loved Kurt Angle as a heel. But the whole what thing, the chicken heel shit he would do, I loved it. Y'all remember that time when the Undertaker busted in on him and Deborah, and the Undertaker was like, "Hey woman, you scared? You should be. Hey Steve, it ain't over till I say it's over. You mess with my family, I'ma step on yours." He said something of that nature. He was like, "It ain't over until I say it's over. You got a problem with that?" Steve was like, and then he walked away. That you can find that skit on not YouTube, but y'all know what I'm talking about. It's the other channel that's kind of like YouTube. Steve was all scared. And he was like, Deborah's looking at him like, "You just got punked," you know, like that type of shit. "I'm ashamed my man got punked." He's like, "You see that? Him busting on in here, I almost whipped that man's ass. The only reason why I didn't do it was because you was here sitting here. I almost whipped that man's ass." You know what I mean? Like, that shit was hilarious. Like, he was a chicken heel, you know, he's got really popular with what? And the guitar segments when he was singing. And I was just like, oh my God, he is killing me. Like, to me, him turning heel was a bad thing at first, but you know, sometimes those things are, you know, a diamond in the rough. They're like, you know, a blessing in disguise. Like, they're like, first of all, man, this shit wasn't right. But then you start to become so popular as a heel that they have to turn your face. The whole what, the singing, the funny ass segments. I was like, oh, this is definitely what he needed, and I loved him as a heel. Let me see, who else? I'm thinking off the cuff now, but you know what else? Brock Lesnar, loved him as a heel, and I mean now, currently, as in within the past 4 or 5 years, I love him as a heel. He's a monster heel. He comes in and he fucking wrecks shop, and that's all he has to do. I love him. And I hated him as a heel when he first came in. Absolutely hated him as a heel when he first came in. I see now what other people saw. They felt as though he was being pushed way too fast and too hard. I didn't like how he was beating everybody. I mean, I was younger then. I was just looking at it for wrestling as a show. I wasn't more caught up in politics and looking at it and trying to see what's read between the lines. But then I was just like, wow, I really hate this Brock Lesnar dude. You know what I mean? But I love him as who he is now. He could stay a heel, and he'll still be cheered like a face. That's the cool thing about him. Another heel, and I'm going to end it with this one only because I could probably make a bigger list of heels that I really like. You know, I like Rollins. I really like fucking Rollins as a heel. I love him. He's talented. He's great in the ring. He knows what he's doing. He's just, I can see it. He's got greatness written all over him. You know, Shawn Michael-ish type talent. You know what I mean? He's good. He's fucking good. And I can't wait to see what this guy does. The last guy I'm going to say that I loved as a heel was Hollywood Hulk Hogan. One of the greatest heels to ever exist. One thing I liked about Hogan was his promos. When he would come, the NWO music would hit, the biggest icon in wrestling. He would come out and Bischoff with the strongest delts in the world, the strongest front delts on the planet, would hold that mic for Hollywood Hogan to cut a 3, 5, 10, 15 minute promo. And he would roll with it. and I would be into what Hogan was saying. It was rare that I would get bored with what Hogan had to say during his promos. Hogan was the shit. He is one of the greatest heels to ever exist. I mean, he just did that Hollywood Hogan to the T. He even had the black beard, like alternate reality. You know, like you got a goatee or a beard in alternate reality if you're a good guy, and then you come out of alternate reality as a bad guy. You got a goatee or a beard, like Garth in the fucking Knight Rider and shit. But oh man, I love him. He was fun. The chicken heel shit that he used to do, the running. Remember when Sting pointed the bat at him the first time? He was like, "He's pointing at me. He's pointing at me." No, he's not pointing at you. He's pointing at me. Remember when he tried to fight the old lady in the audience? Remember that shit? The old lady and like Bischoff and all of them are trying to hold him back from fighting the old lady. Yo, Hogan, I loved him as a heel. Just one of the greatest. So that's my list for now. Maybe I'll have a second and third list, but those are all the guys I can think of off the cuff. So those are all the guys that, really hold any water at this point. You know what I mean? So hope you enjoyed it, Magnusites, all my wrestling fans. And I will see you in my next video. 1 million subscribers. Woo!